Welcome to the New Approach in the Workforce webinar held by me, Rachel Horton White. And I'm very excited to have you all here. And I'm just going to do one quick adjustment. Okay, and now going to show you my screen. So this is the third webinar that I've done so far, and I'm very excited to presenting this again on a Sunday afternoon, a rainy Sunday afternoon. Now, quick question, can everybody hear me okay? And there's a little place to answer questions. Happy to be here. I'm so glad. So I'm assuming if you can't hear me, oh, you can hear me. Great. Okay. All right, so here we go. So here I am saying hello to you. I know you can't see me, but that's me in the green saying hello to everybody. And just so you all know, your audio is muted, and I will be giving you a chance, as you can see here, to answer some of the questions that I will ask you, and you can type in your answers. And I'm pretty sure that you will not be able to see other people's answers, but just in case, I'm not actually positive about that. So anyway, it's a group sharing. So next question, does everyone have the 5 steps to fulfillment handout, which you would have gotten in your email? I'm assuming that you do. Yes. Okay, great. So you can use that to follow along. That way you don't have to take any notes. So I'm wondering if this sounds familiar to you. You arrive at work like you do every day. Hopefully your environment is not as dismal and dark as this one. And as soon as you step in your workplace, you start to just automatically feel this not so good feeling, like stress, anxiety, frustration. It's almost like your brain is programmed to feel those things just by stepping into that environment. So you may know about relaxation techniques like these guys right here, but you're, for whatever reason, unable to apply these in your job. It might be yoga or meditation, and for whatever reason, that it's just not working. And if that is you, well, you're not alone. Only 30% of workers in the US actually feel engaged in their jobs. So it shows that there is somewhat of a phenomenon happening of people feeling disconnected, stressed, and worn down in general. So, like many, you're tired of long hours, unsustainable workloads. You're supposed to be checking your email all the time, and your paychecks are not getting any better. So, if you're like me, you know there must be a better way. Well, good news is that there is a better way. There's a solution, and it could possibly change your life if you're ready for it. And I know this may sound like one of those quick fix solutions of, do this and everything will be transformed magically. And I want to just tell you that it's actually it is work. It does take commitment, and it does take perseverance and time, but it is possible. So before we get to all of that, I want to tell you a little more about me and why I'm doing this. So that's me here years ago when I was in Germany. I love my bright red scars. It brings a little splash of vitality. So why should you be listening to what I'm telling you right now? Well, I live right outside Portland, Maine, and some of you know me quite well. Some of you don't know me. But I'm a wife and a mother to 2 young children who I consider my true teachers in life, as many of you who have kids, I know some of you here do, and you know what I'm talking about. Went to Wellesley College, majored in English, lived in various countries around the world, and one of those countries was Senegal. I studied abroad there in my junior year in college, and I had planned on being a journalist until I went to Senegal, and my life kind of was changed in a sense by the generosity and goodness of the people there, showing me what really true community and generosity was. And so I decided then on I wanted to give back and go into the nonprofit field. So went and did a couple different things, and then eventually went to grad school, majored in public administration with a focus on nonprofit management from the University of Georgia. And then for the rest of my career, I really was focusing on working in the nonprofit world and social services, starting things, creating programs. I really loved collaborating with people, to do innovative things. And I love the work in many ways, but noticed that no matter what job I was in, I felt frustrated in almost every place. And it was, ironic because I went into this field to make a difference, but I just found myself trying to cope and recover from a day of work and, feeling tired and stressed and worried and just taking my work problems home with me. So, I started getting tired of just feeling like I was one person at work and another outside of work. And that wasn't sustainable for me. So, here's the first question for you. Over to you, little audience participation here. Does that sound familiar to you? Have you ever felt like this, that you're, this free, happy person essentially outside of work? And then when you go into your work, you have to put on your guy smiley face. And yeah, okay, sure. Sometimes I see some of you, depending on the day, at least one day a week. That's interesting. I wonder what happens on the other days. Um, so, all right. So it's not just me. And um, so I started realizing what I had been doing to myself and got really just tired of it. I had been hoping for, something different. It's kind of like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting something different to happen. And it really wasn't happening for me. So I decided I needed to make a change. And I also realized that, okay, this could just be me. It's just my problem. There's something, wrong with me essentially. But, I know my personality is more suited as an entrepreneur. But I had heard friends saying, talking about toxic, dysfunctional work environments, all over the place. And so I started, noticing that it's probably something with our modern workplace that's wrong. And I had tried thinking about, can I change cultures in the places at my workplaces? Can I, affect that change? And it is possible, I think, but it's hard, especially if the leadership of the agency you're in doesn't support that. So I said, all right, let's just start with I'll start with what I have control over, which is myself. So I realized that I needed to understand a little more about what was happening to me subconsciously, to my brain and my body, and the patterns that had become essentially wired in my brain. I started, reading about neuroscience, physics, even, quantum physics, as much as I could understand about it. And of course, my main passion, which was metaphysics, and connecting all of these and realizing that I need to start becoming aware of my thoughts and the emotions I was having and the effects of these on myself and on my environment, and started focusing on how I wanted my workplace to be and how I wanted my overall life to be. Doing a lot of visualizing, listening to my intuition, trusting, blindly in the universe that I would be shown the way, essentially, and started having some incredible opportunities and people and messages coming to me. I started, just really paying attention to things and listening to things, started talking about what I was doing, leaking information out in my workplace, which was hard at first, believe me. And I started trying some small things like a moment of stillness in the staff meetings I would facilitate at the beginning of every meeting, visualizing how I wanted difficult conversations to go, with people that might challenge me. We all have those people in our lives, and focus on sending warm energy to that person before that conversation. And it was amazing how it actually would help. So eventually I realized my new purpose was not to be in my job, in my last job, where I was for almost 7 years. And I hired my own coach, my own professional coach, to help get me unstuck. And I realized that I really needed to share what I had been practicing with other people. I had almost this new mission. And I started Soulful Work, intuitive consulting, and took the leap to do this full time. So this isn't to say that you all need to do that too, that you need to just quit your jobs. But maybe your job isn't for you, and there is something else that would really feel more aligned with who you really are. But some of you are maybe fine where you are. It's your dream job, but there's just something with the workplace culture that doesn't feel good to you. I see some of you commenting right now, you've decided to leave your job, you have other passions you would like to pursue due to feeling disconnected. That's awesome. Congratulations to you for doing that. So, how many of you, I just read somebody's answer, but how many of you feel like you're in your dream job already? Or how many of you feel like, no, I want to get out, I want to look for something new? Here's another audience participation opportunity. One of you, okay, you're in your dream job already. That's awesome. Good for you. I'm very happy. One of you are entering your dream job finally. That is very exciting. And it's similar to what I'm doing. That's great. The more of us doing this, the better. You like your job, but if money were no object, you would do something else. Well, there's probably money is a big piece for a lot of us. We have a lot of blocks around money, and it's a big deal. So that's something that definitely look into. But there is hope. So all right, thank you. That's really helpful to hear. Um, so I come up with two phases for working, within myself. This is what I did, and I'm telling you this now because I want to share this with you. The first is an internal phase, the self, and the second is an external phase with the environment. And so, kind of like what I just was talking about, our focus will really be for this webinar and for other work I'm doing, an online course that you'll hear about, will be on ourselves. And that's because true change starts from within ourselves. We really, yes, there is a possibility we could change the systems we're in or the workplaces, but that's much harder to do, and it's not where our focus is going to be right now. You can affect your environment through what you say and what you do with your energy, believe it or not, but that takes that takes a lot of practice, but it's doable. So, all right, the 5 steps in the internal phase, and I found this picture of my favorite, my cheesy joke here of really high steps, and don't worry, the steps won't be as tall as you see here. Um, but the message here is that it is, as I said before, um, it takes a little bit of work. It takes some commitment, as with anything in life. But it's not something that's just hopeless and impossible. So, and here's how I think it could start. Step 1, monitoring our thoughts and emotions, with an emphasis here on emotions because it's much easier to notice how we're feeling. We have so many thoughts that come into our head all the time that how are you going to keep track of every single thought? But it's a little easier to notice how a feeling that you're having. So this is also called self-awareness. Some of you have heard about emotional intelligence. Daniel Goleman is the expert in that field. But this basically has to do with understanding what's happening in our brain, and that's where those are our thoughts come from, and the effects that these thoughts have on our body and the emotions that we feel in our body. So we feel something. It's kind of, where does it start? Does it start from the thought? Does a feeling become a thought? But either way, it's how can we be aware of whatever emotion we're experiencing in that moment. So if you're angry about something, the goal would be to get to a place where you can say, I notice that I'm feeling angry right now. And you're almost taking that anger and taking it out, looking at it and observing it as something that you're simply experiencing in that moment, and not believing that that emotion is who you are, like I'm an angry person or something. And when you're able to do this, the emotion loses its power over you, and you can just kind of move on to the next thing. And I like to use this analogy of like a doctor. I have a sibling now who's a doctor in my family, very proud of her. Like a doctor treating a sick or injured body. Um, you go in, you have a wound, and the doctor gives you a bandage and says, this is how the wound's going to heal. And you're going to listen to the doctor because you want your wound to heal. And, the same thing, we can do the same thing to our brain. Like, what's happening in our brain? And maybe our brain does need to heal. And because there are patterns that have been established there over time, potentially since childhood, that we don't even necessarily are aware of. But it's time to start paying attention to what's happening in our brains, because it's affecting our lives. So before I move on, anybody have any questions about what I've been talking about right now? Does it make sense? Am I going too fast? Am I going slow enough? I'm assuming if I'm not, I'll hear from you guys. So, all right, I don't see any questions, so I'll keep going. Step 2, quiet the thinking mind. So some of you might know what I'm talking about, and I'm using euphemism here for meditation, because that word is a loaded term that brings up a lot for people. And some of you may be already thinking, that doesn't work for me. I can't do that. I've tried it. I know about meditation. Whatever it is, that's totally normal, totally, common. Um, but before you go there, here's a thought for you that I like to use, an example about a treadmill. So if you wanted to get back into exercise and you said, all right, I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to get in the treadmill, you started working out, you started getting tired. Well, you probably wouldn't say, well, that doesn't work. I'm never going to do that again. Not for me. Instead you might actually say, all right, maybe I started out too fast. Maybe I did too much. Next time I'm just going to ease into it, start slowly, start walking first. So the same thing we could do with our quieting the mind, which is what I'm calling it, practice, or we can call it, stillness practice, of just easing into it and not saying, oh, we have to, meditate for 2 hours every morning, because that's just not realistic for many of us in our lives. If the fact is that we can actually get the benefits of quieting the thoughts and chatter that constantly comes at us throughout the day, even in just small moments. So, it's good to try to, start your brain getting to that place by, doing a 30-minute quieting exercise, if you haven't ever done it before. And then, just you start with those 30 minutes, then you can say, all right, now I'm just going to do 5 minutes here and there while I'm driving in the car. Be careful with that. You don't want to fall asleep. But if you're waiting in line, I'll often do that. If I'm standing in line at the grocery store or something, just, all right, I'm going to take advantage of this time to just focus on my breath. Um, or, you're making lunch at work and you're just heating it up, your lunch up, or whatever it is, you're just going to, start to focus on something. And I said the breath because we all have breath. And that's an easy thing to focus on, but it could be, the sound of the birds out the window, or a picture that you see in front of you, or whatever it is. The point is to kind of just um, train your brain to stop uh, its attachment to every single thought. It's the space between the thoughts. I know that's a common analogy, and I just really love that. So, all right, step 3. And I'm assuming, like I said, anytime if you have any questions, I'd like this to be like an interactive type class. Please just type them in. Oh, sound is out. I hear somebody saying the sound is out. Does anybody else not hear me, or is that just one person? I'm wondering if other people can hear me. Let me know if you can. I see that one person cannot. So if you can hear me, say yes, I can hear you. All right. I don't see that anybody else is saying they can't hear me. Not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. Um, well, I'm just going to keep talking and hope that somebody out there can hear me, because I'm thinking that it might just be this one person. So anyway, all right. Step 3 is identifying the limiting beliefs that we have, and the voice of what I like to call the inner critic. So, those limiting beliefs are something, some of you may have heard that term, some of you have never heard that before. And also the inner critic term might be a new one too, except for my coaching clients, you might know what that is. Oh, good. Sound is back. All right. So limiting beliefs are, hold on, back up. All right. The limiting beliefs are often deeply ingrained within us, and they've taken root a long time ago, almost, as far back as childhood. For example, maybe you wanted to always be an artist or a musician or a writer or something, really creative like that. But you may have abandoned that dream if somebody had told you, well, can you really make money from that? Or, you might be better off just finding a steady job, a real job, to provide for your family, or, whatever it is. And not that that was bad, but it may have all, that person or that belief system was probably there, might have been a parent or somebody, that's pretty common, that may have been telling you that. It doesn't mean that they're bad, but that was their belief system, and they were trying to keep you safe. They were trying to help you have a happy life. But unfortunately, that, potentially morphed into your inner critic thoughts of, well, I can't really do that brave or creative thing, or I'm not as smart as that person, or I could never do that. That voice that kind of holds us back from our ability to create what's possible for us. So That doesn't, so like I said, it doesn't mean they're all wrong. Those limiting beliefs and that voice of the inner critic, which we all still have, and that can be, that could be called the ego or the lizard or different things, negative self-talk. Um, the point is that those things no longer serve us. So it's time to let go of these beliefs because they're really just blocking us from achieving our hopes and dreams. Um, so what can we do about it? All right. Step five. Sorry, no, step four. Replace the limiting beliefs with positive thoughts and visualizations to bring about what you really want in your life. So, um, you're starting with developing a believable vision of your future self, what you want your future to be like. And, maybe it's a year from now, maybe it's 5 years not 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But the point is to focus on that vision all the time and creating what I somebody told me, and I did it for myself, and it worked incredibly well. A vision board. So I know people have vision walls or vision board on a wall. So the board is okay, but make sure it's on a wall because if it's on the wall, you can see it. You walk by it. You're putting up different um, ideas that come into your mind, and you're putting it up so it starts to become ingrained as part of your reality, and you're monitoring your thoughts and emotions the whole time to make sure they're not negative. And it's the point is your vision is believable, so it's not something like, oh, I'm going to visualize winning the lottery tomorrow, because that might not be a realistic thing. But maybe you've always wanted to open a bed and breakfast or teach kids how to make art or whatever it is. You picture yourself doing that thing in the future. So what do you look like doing that? What are you wearing? Who are you talking to? It's actually like having this very real picture of your future self. And, here's a metaphysical aspect of it for you, which is there's the potential that that future vision is actually creating a blueprint of a reality for you. And so it's just a matter of you're matching yourself in your current present time with that future vision. So I know that might seem a little hard to grasp, but just stay with me if you would. So, all right, step five, asking for guidance. So this can start at the beginning of the process. These whole 5 steps, or at the end, but at some point, asking for guidance beyond yourself is key. Um, so whatever you choose to call a power higher than yourself, the key is that the universe is there to help you. It wants to help you. You just have to ask. So often, the universe or whoever it is will wait until you ask because they don't want to intervene, or whoever it is, the universe, whatever we won't use, any terms that might bring up associations for people, doesn't want to intervene. And getting specific on what you want assistance with is also super important, because if you're saying I just want to become an artist, well, what does that look like for you? Well, what do you actually what's the type of place you want to work in, or how do you want to feel? So it's really about how you actually want to feel. So the point is that we're not meant to go this alone. There is support out there for you. So like I said, just asking very specifically sometimes for it. So what does this mean for you, and what can you do about it next? Some of you may be thinking these 5 steps are great, and I thank you so much. Now I can move on to do whatever it is that I've always wanted to do in my life, and I'm all set. And others may be thinking, no, actually, I really kind of need more tools and help to get some specific guidance to apply this to my unique situation. So here's another question for you. How, what, what do you all think about that? Who thinks that who out there thinks that they need a little more guidance to their specific unique situations, and who out there is like, nope, I got this, thank you so much, I have the tools, I'm good, I'm going to take it and run with it? You always need guidance. I love that answer because I think that is so true, that we all could benefit from, like, asking for help. We don't have to do this alone. You recently became to believe your guidance system comes from your higher self. Yes, absolutely. I think I want to try out the steps. Somebody says, awesome. I think you can. Your higher knowing. That's really good. Thank you for that interaction. I love it. Um, so, all right. For those of you who said you're going to try the 5 steps, you've got it, you've devoured this information, you can run with it. That is awesome. And I'm so glad. And I hope you can stay in touch. There's a blog I have. There's some other stuff that, that through Soulful Work that I'm doing. And I hope that we can stay in touch somehow. Others of you may want guidance on applying this to your unique lives. I know that was me. I was always reading all these spiritual meditation books, but I always longed for something to help me specifically. And, with the thing that was going on for me at that exact moment. And it took me a long time to, honestly, I couldn't do it until I hired my own professional coach to help me, give me that encouragement. So, all right, if that sounds like you, good news, you're in luck. As I mentioned earlier, I will be offering an online course for 8 weeks starting Monday, June 6th. And this is going to be a course with, I'm trying to keep it small, about 15 people. It's going to be a pretty intensive course with, it's totally confidential. You're enrolling, but you're not going to be, this is personal stuff. So it won't be like everything you're going through is going to be out there and shared with everyone. But you will have a community of peers to share ideas with anonymously if you want. And also, those of you that live far away can access this from anywhere, from your own home. And it will, there will be, week to week, there'll be new things, new lectures and videos uploaded. But throughout the week, you'll be able to kind of access it whenever you want and do some of the assignments on your own time. And the huge bonus, the difference between of this and other online courses is that this will actually, it's like an abbreviated coaching version, because I do individual coaching with people. I have small number of clients that I work with. And so this would be kind of like a lesser version of that, obviously, but I will be giving individualized support. The first thing we would do is you would fill out a comprehensive description of who you are and your values and your beliefs and your goals. And I would take that and provide analysis for you and give you some recommendations of where to start for just you, your specifically you. And so with each week, I like to say, I'd be providing you with brain stretching videos, instructional videos. You'll also be getting inspirational videos from thought leaders, like Seth Godin, Elizabeth Gilbert, Jonathan Fields. Those are some of my favorite people. John Kabat-Zinn's another one. Written assignments, reflections for you to reflect on, readings. I'll be doing interviews with people that have really inspired me, somebody that might even live next door to you, but other people who are actually pretty well-known public figures. As I said, a private learning community of peers could be a Facebook group you can access or not access. And most importantly, guided mind quieting exercises and visualizations that I'll be actually recording and providing you to just get you started. And then you'll be going and doing your own stillness exercises. So the theme is that these are practical tools to how to apply what you've just heard, these 5 steps, because it is a process, and generally change takes about 3 months. This is 8 weeks, so it's definitely condensed. There is an option to continue for another 4 weeks for people that are making big changes, like leaving their jobs. Not all of you are going to do that, but for me, it took me about 5 months to go through that change. So the essence of this could, I'm not just saying this because obviously I'm operating a business here, but this is about a new way of operating in our lives and a new way of being pretty much anywhere, not just our jobs, but, our everyday lives overall. So let's see, I tried all this myself, so I definitely know that I know what it feels like. I know that it's a big deal. This is the core of our lives, and having guidance is so important. So, all right, how do you get to the course? Soulful Work Consulting .com/learn is one place that you can find it. And I'm going to show this to you right here from my computer in a second. And I am giving you a sample of one thing that you'd see. I mentioned an interview, so I will actually, I have an interview I just did with Jeff Lieberman, who is an old friend of mine. He went to MIT. He's a quantum physics guru, essentially, artist, musician. He's like a Renaissance man, basically, and formerly hosted the Time Warp show on the Discovery Channel. So he's known. People know who he is. He did TEDx talk on science and spirituality, which is how I found him. So um, so this is just a screenshot here of what the course looks like. It's on teachable.com. And I'm going to show you how to get there. Let's see if I can just take off this screen and show it to you. All right. So yeah, I think this course is something that I'm still building it. It does have about 40 hours total of content on it. So 40 hours, that includes work that you're doing on your own, work that I'm giving you, like I said, in the form of videos, and um, and also written reflections that you'll be doing, and guided meditations, so on and so forth. So all right, let's see. Okay, I've gotten the website up, and I'm just going to show you this. Okay, so you should be now seeing teachable.com. Hopefully you can see it. If you can't, let me know. It says workplace fulfillment. So soulful work consulting.teachable.com. So you go here, you can see workplace fulfillment. Scrolling down, I have a description similar to what I told you before of the course, and what's in the course. So video brain stretching tutorials, written assignments and reflections, individualized plans. I kind of went over this a little bit already. A little bit more about me. And here's a curriculum. So you might be wondering, what is in the class? So I have an outline for you. Week 1, you can see kind of what's there. I'm going to try to scroll through relatively slowly. Week 2, quieting the thinking mind. And some videos, some resources, recommendations, starting journaling, getting to the inner critic that we talked about. Weekly live Q&A sessions with me. So that would be something we do every week. So we can get a chance to get tailored to whatever you're working on in your life. Week 4, dreams of your future self. So how do you create that vision of your future you're looking for? Week 5, emotions and energy. So how can we actually change our environment with some of our energy? Week 6, asking for guidance. We talked about that. Week 7, stepping into the fear. So the art of asking and taking risks. And week 8, putting it out there. So we actually will culminate in what can you share with the world that you've been working on. And it's about the ongoing process of being grateful and putting it out there and transforming your workplace and your life. So, all right, frequently asked questions. These are just some of the template things. I haven't added all of them yet. So then, there's some testimonials. What do people say who've worked with me so far? Thank you so much for those of you who've done that. So here's what it looks like. And then how much does it cost? All right. So here are the prices. $397 is normally what it is. However, that is not going to be the price for you because you're here on the webinar. So you would be getting a discount of $100 off, which would make it $297. And for those of you that, I know that's still kind of a lot. So can be a lot, and depending on how you view it. Money's energy, so it's a tool for getting what you want. You're investing in yourself, you're putting it out there, you're giving something, and you're going to be receiving. And I know that, am I just saying that? No, actually, I did this myself, and I was saying to the universe, essentially, I want to invest in myself, and I'm asking for this to happen. So I put it out there, and it really was this, big moment to be doing that. So there's a coupon code that you'll be getting with this, and the coupon code I will show you is, let's see, right here. So this is just for people who are here in the webinar. Not going to be for everybody. So this is kind of the same stuff you saw So coupon code less100, LESS 100 for $100 off. And if you are interested in the payment plan over 8 weeks, it would be 8 week 100. It's also $100 off. It's just divided over 8 weeks. So that's what the course is about. And I made this course to be something that I would actually want to take myself, and something that I would could potentially change my life. So I'm hoping to have it be a course that would be honestly the most beneficial as possible for you. Um, so let's see. Any questions before I take you back, or before we start to wrap up? We're almost done. Um, Gonna switch back to the other screen. If it'll let me do it. Okay. Oh, I don't see anybody has any questions. I'm wondering if everybody can hear me. I'm just going to keep going. So, um, went through all these. Starts on June 6th. I'm still building it, so it's not totally ready. Here is your information I already told you about, the sales page. Feel free to email me. Go to the soulfulworkconsulting.com webpage /learn. If you have any more questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them. If you're not comfortable asking them now, you can email me, rhortonwhite@soulfulworkconsulting.com. And also, don't forget to like Soulful Work Consulting on Facebook. We're also we/me, also on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all that good stuff. So if that is it, unless I have any other questions. Oh, somebody has a question about coaching. Okay, coaching. So coaching is definitely, it's a much more personal, individualized, tailored experience where I usually do 45-minute free sample sessions with somebody as a preview to what coaching is. But it's essentially an hour and a half of us meeting individually twice a month. So it's about 3 hours a month in person. I'm in Portland, so hopefully you'll be able to come to Portland. And we work on based on coactive coaching, which is a coaching practice that I've studied, um, and also intuitive guidance that I try to tap into. So it's, what are you looking to do in your life? What are you looking to change? Some of you are looking to make major changes, some of you aren't. But so we meet every other week. Generally, can be tailored to your situation. Unlimited email exchanges in between meetings. Um, and it's definitely, some people are more comfortable with one-on-one coaching. Some people are more comfortable with online. Do I offer other kinds of courses? I will be, yes, I will be. I do also do workshops actually in people's workplaces, and workshops for some private groups based on what they're looking for. Some people are looking for tips on how to actually make changes in your workplaces, and that's actually something that I'll give you in the online course, like, you know, small little things you can do in your workplace to make a change, to change the environment there. So, yes, I do. I have a blog that I regularly post things on, little like inspirational things that pop into my head, and tips that might help um, those of you that are interested in this stuff. So, yes, I'm always developing more online courses. I'm going to be, over time, coming up with more. I said this was the internal focus on the self. At some point, I'll be doing an external focus on how can we affect change in our workplace environment. Do I offer trade/barter? Um, yeah, that's something we could talk about. I think I'd definitely be open to that. Um, Depends on what you're offering. So, yeah, let's talk about that. I'll get in touch with you after. So, any other questions? I thank you so much for all your questions. What can you do today to change your life? Okay, another question. These are great questions. You can start practicing to quiet your mind. That is the number one thing you can start doing today, is get your mind quiet. Meditation is the term for it, but you can find stuff right now on YouTube, guided meditations, if you've never done it before. But it's honestly just focusing on your breath, the inhale and the exhale, focusing on it as much as you can, letting the thoughts float out of your mind like clouds if you can, and that will start to change your experience. And meditation, you can learn about. Another question. You can honestly learn about meditation anywhere. I happen to really like John Kabat-Zinn, Kabat Zinn, because he frames things in a really everyday life, practical way. He talks a lot about mindfulness. And so I would, just Google him. He's in Massachusetts. He's a professor. He's one of the mindfulness-based stress reduction. Yes, thank you. That's what it's called. He's one of the experts in that area, and I think I like the way he phrases things. So, um, yeah, all right. If any more, I see lots of other things coming in. That's John Kabat-Zinn's technique. Yes, right. So, thank you all so much for being here. I really I'm so grateful. I love the audience interaction, and it means so much to me that you're taking the time to listen and taking the time to consider this. I really hope that some of you may sign up for this online course. I think it will be pretty awesome, honestly, and I'm very excited to do it. I love teaching. I actually was a teacher at a community college. I taught English in Mexico, so this is really where my passion lies, is teaching. So thank you all for being here so much, and I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.